points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, a happy Halloween Eve, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, I'm Drew Mandel. Ezra Ginsburg away from the program, suspended one game for conduct detrimental to Illegal Curve. You know, if Halloween, Mr. Manouk, is the scariest night of the year, I think some people might say it's Valentine's Day, but that's neither here nor there. But if Halloween is the scariest night of the year, I'm not sure. I think tonight's performance by the Winnipeg Jets would have been better off tomorrow night rather than tonight, with the exception, of course, of Connor freaking Hellebuyck. It's a 2-1 defeat at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights, but the Jets get a point, and there's only one man responsible for that, and he's the netminder for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes, I think, Drew, your earlier tweet where you were going to just say Helly and I was going to say Buck for the entire post-game show would be appropriate given what we saw from the Jets netminder. And it's not the first time. Of course, everybody remembers the San Jose game, but I mean, this guy is in, again, we talked about it on the Saturday show. He is as dialed in as you're going to see a goaltender right now, and that's a good thing for the Winnipeg Jets because he was sensational throughout the course of this game, and you knew it. You could feel it right off at the outset. I mean, you know, an early start time in Vegas, 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. there in Vegas. And yet the Jets didn't look like they were ready to go, but Connor Hellebuyck sure was. I mean, shots were 9-2 to start. Before you even knew it, actually ended up being 11-2. I remember writing that tweet from Illegal Curve and all of a sudden it was like 9-2. Oh no, wait, it's 11-2. And it was just a flurry of shots. And he stood tall, which he usually does. And, you know, the Jets just seemed slow to compared to Vegas. And look, Vegas is the best team the Jets have played. I mean, they are the best team. It's not even a question, right? They're the top team in the Pacific. Their record is excellent. They came into the game having won 3 straight as well. And of course now have won 4 straight, but they were all over Winnipeg, and Winnipeg just didn't seem like they were ready to go from the outset of that hockey game. They just never seemed to get going. And, you know, you can say, well, generally what happens in that instance is that the team is bailed out by the goaltender. What we've seen traditionally here in Winnipeg, the team is bailed out by the goaltender, and eventually they start to wake up. And despite what you may have heard on the broadcast, where the ice was somehow tilting or they were having good stretches, I mean, I'm sorry, through 40 minutes at least. I mean, the third period was a different story, but through the 40 minutes, the tail of the tape would suggest otherwise. There was the ice.
Anybody with working vision would not have said that the ice was tilted in the Jets' favor at any point. I was having some fun in those 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was having some fun with the chat, Drew, because I was saying then people like, who said that? I'm like, well, it was said on the broadcast. But you know what? I mean, it was one of those games, and the Jets, of course, didn't skate yesterday. They didn't skate again today.
Yeah, a little surprising about that. I guess
5
o'clock start time.
I know it's a 5 o'clock start, but I thought, you know, if Vegas had already said they weren't skating, you could, in theory, have had an earlier ice time if you just wanted to get your legs going a little bit. So that surprised me, given the fact that they obviously gave the team off yesterday after back-to-backs. But, you know, regardless, they weren't ready to go. And, you know what, maybe that's a testament to the fact that you do need a morning skate, because, you know, they were like, oh, well, we're getting rid of the morning skates. Well, these guys weren't ready to go when it mattered, when puck dropped, and that was put him behind the 8 ball. And again, if it wasn't, who was the first intermission guest? Was it Neil Pionk? And he said it should be 3-0 right now. And then think about it. Second intermission guest, Mason Appleton, same sort of message. You know, if it's not for Connor Hellebuyck, we're out of, we're not even in this game. So, I mean, the overarching theme is the fact that Connor Hellebuyck was, like I said, otherworldly throughout the course of this game and made some just incredible saves. But the Jets were gassed. They just didn't have it going on throughout the course of the day and the game, with the exception of the fourth line. The fourth line deserves a lot of credit. I thought they were the only ones who really looked like they had their legs going and were ready to play. And with the exception of them, there's nobody who I would illustrate as being particularly good in the top 9.
when you look at the last 3 games as a whole, the road trip, and we'll talk this tonight on the post game show. We talk about tonight, so there's no question that this was the Connor Hellebuyck show. And the truth is, the Jets finished this road trip 2-0-1. So a lot of people, and I see people in the chat, and I admire all of you for your enthusiasm. People who say the Jets are 2-0-1, and that's good news, and that's where the focus of everything should be. An admirable take and everything else. But I mean, there are more reasons for worry over the last 3 games than I would say reasons for celebration. The only reasons for celebration are the results. But you look at the game against Los Angeles, and you're dominated in the first period. You get better as the game goes on. You look at the game against Arizona, you're down 2-0. You get better as the game goes on. You look at tonight's game. Well, I mean, you were thoroughly dominated for the vast majority of the game, and Connor Hellebuyck is the only reason that allows you to get the extra point. So, and you don't have to apologize for having great goaltending.
No, we say that all the time.
We say it all the time. Yeah, you don't apologize for
you scouted him, you developed him. Like he's like
absolutely.
That's a feather in your cap, and you don't apologize for that.
You don't apologize for having great goaltending. You don't apologize for playing against other teams' backup goaltenders. Those are 2 things that the first thing is in your control, and you did a great job about it. The second thing's out of your control. You don't have to worry about that. And the Jets are in first place in the Central Division, tied with the Dallas Stars, and that's tremendous. And you can't take that away from them after the first month of the season, or wraps up with today's games. The last 3 games, in terms of how the Jets have started and how the Jets have largely played, does leave me with some concern. And I think it's justifiable concern. 5-3-1 is 5-3-1. First place is first place. No one's taking that away from you. But if you're being truthful and you're being honest, you have to ask yourself, how sustainable is what we have seen, at least on this road trip? And that's when they get 5 out of 6 points. So, yeah. I mean, that's sort of impressive that you're asking yourself, how is it sustainable? But at the same time, you're also saying we got 5 out of 6 points.
Well, as T. Will said, and I highlighted this comment, but it's true. Great goaltending is not a strategy. And so, I mean, if you want to look at it glass half full, Drew, I guess you could say, hey, look, the Jets played like crap and still ended up with 5 out of 6 points. And, like you said, are first in the Central.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some, there's a lot of areas of improvement. The PK was good. I mean, at least that was a positive for them, right? They managed to have, Brendan Dillon was like becoming familiar with the sin bin in Vegas, but and we can, you can complain. It's interesting because I said on Twitter, I didn't think the refereeing was very good. That seemed to be a theme throughout the course of the day because the refereeing in the AHL wasn't very good today either. But, even on the non-call on Morgan Barron, which led to the goal, and I know we'll get into it later in the recap. But to me, the interesting thing with that was that, it's one thing on when we have the benefit of TV, the refs don't have that. And you think to yourself, it's interesting because it's a 3-0 count in terms of penalties. It's pretty close to being, it looks blatant. Again, like I said, on replay, you realize it actually wasn't a trip. Like it was like Barron was falling and the stick happened to be there, but it didn't actually make contact.
Right.
But the ref doesn't know that. And you got to think, like, you'd think that it would be an easy one for him because he knows it's already a 3-0 in favor of Vegas.
And it directly leads to a scoring chance or goal in this
goal.
Case.
And every single player stopped. The Vegas guys stopped. The Jets stopped because they were all expecting a call. And then when no call was forthcoming, play continued. And of course, that's why the age-old thing, you play until you hear a whistle. You don't stop because you think there's going to be something because the refs, and I don't think it has anything to do with like betting and gambling and all that stuff like people were saying, but
no, it doesn't.
I just think
guys,
it's not a conspiracy. The refs are just incompetent.
Conspiracy theories. They're just, and I said this after the game against Toronto when the officiating was in question. Officiating in the NHL will not improve and will not become more consistent until the owners of the NHL, i.e. the people who pay the officials, decide that they want to spend more money to improve the officiating. And that's just the reality of the matter. The inconsistencies are not they're not a bug, they're a feature. That's just how it works. So in that instance, was I surprised that there was not a call? Absolutely, I was surprised there was not a call because so often officials, for all the reasons you outlined there, Dave, player's stick is between the legs, player goes down. 3-0 was the penalties at that point in the game. So often the officials are looking for a reason to make a call. And that's just human nature more than anything. It's not some sort of grand conspiracy. The World Economic Forum is not involved in this. It's not QAnon. It's not anything like that. That's just human nature, folks. That's just all it is. So I was surprised that there wasn't a penalty call there, but there wasn't. So you move on and you sort of have to just keep going. And I mean, again, the Jets didn't lose this game because of officiating. Jets didn't lose this game because of, a penalty here or a penalty there or a non-call here or a non-call there. The Jets lost this game in overtime, mind you, because the Vegas Golden Knights were more deserving of the win. And the Jets almost won this game. They did. They really were, 8 seconds away or 7 seconds away from entering a shootout where it's a coin flip. Look, the Jets are going to go on that plane. They're not going to be upset the players aren't. They're going to say, yeah, we didn't play well, because they didn't, except for Connor Hellebuck, of course, and the fourth line had a very impressive game. But they're going to say we're 5-3-1. We're happy where we are. There's a lot of things we need to clean up, but we're 5-3-1 and we're in first place. And I saw somebody in the chat said, at the end of the month of October, if you said that the Jets were going to be 5-3-1 and the Jets were going to be in first place, people would be, having a parade down Portage Avenue right now celebrating. So with 9 games done, with, a ninth of the season complete, people are probably pretty happy with where the Jets are. The players themselves know that they have to be better. Playing like this is not going to be a sustainable recipe for success. But there's no grand conspiracy thing. The most deserving team won tonight.
Yeah,
sometimes that simple.
No, for sure. And the only thing I'm questioning though is, how do we actually know the game went to OT?
Because we never saw the end of the third period. You're saying,
like, what? Who was in charge of that? And how do they still have a job? Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's
it was the same person who declared that Glenn Murray was the next mayor of Winnipeg.
I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm watching and sometimes it glitches, right? Like you're like, they throw to here, but it's within a second that they flip it right back immediately. I'm thinking to myself, it's a 1-1 game. There's 6 seconds to go in the game. The faceoff is in the Jet zone.
Yeah.
And
I was waiting for them to come back with the Golden Knights celebrating having
that would have been insane. And I just was like, did TSN really just cut away? And then the worst part is there was no I don't know if they knew, but there was no acknowledgement on the broadcast. So it was kind of like, okay, now we're going to overtime. It's like, now you're going to overtime. I'm telling you that most people in Manitoba, I would think, or most people who are watching, most Jets people who are watching are sitting there going, how do we know that just happened? We just lost 5 seconds of our lives that we're not getting back. So, I thought that was unusual. I couldn't believe there was it happened. B, no acknowledgement, because it was just bizarre. Like, you're, like I said, it's one thing if it glitches in the second period, but 6 seconds to go in a tie game.
Timing is everything, as the old adage goes, right?
Yeah.
Good
old TSN.
Good old TSN. Exactly right. Good evening to everybody. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a familiar face, I'm Drew Mandel. He's Dave Manouk. You know who we are. Ezra Ginsburg, not present at the show today. That's okay. We'll miss Ezzy until he returns at some point in time. Maybe Thursday, maybe Saturday, maybe Tuesday. We don't know. We'll see. Flip a coin. Never know when Ezzy's gonna appear on the scene. Let's get into the game recap, Dave. There weren't a lot of goals in tonight's game. We could, if we had, a solid, 36 to 48 hours, we could go through all the near goals that the Vegas Golden Knights scored. But, we're not going to do that. We've been doing a lot of broadcasts as of late. The Betway game recap is brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. And of course, the title sponsor of the Illegal Curve postgame show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. If you don't watch that game, you're thinking, not much happened in the first 2 periods. If you watch that game, you know just how unbelievable Connor Hellebuck was in keeping the Jets in this game through the first 40 minutes. Because the shots on goal were 33-8 after 40 minutes. but that only tells a small portion of the story. You have to look at the high danger chances. The high danger chances through the first 40 minutes of the game, at 5-on-5, mind you, but let's look at it in all situations. The high danger chances for the Vegas Golden Knights through the first 40 minutes were 21-4. 21-4. The Golden Knights had more high danger chances than the Jets had shots on goal in tonight's game. I mean,
is that good?
No, it's not. It's good for Vegas. It's great for Vegas. Not so good for the Jets. It might be something the Jets want to look to tighten up going forward. You think we take Connor Hellebuyck for granted because we see it game in and game out. This was a reminder of peak Connor Hellebuyck, and I know people are thinking back to the game against San Jose. I think this was a more impressive performance than the game in San Jose. If you remember that one, I believe it was David Gustafsson scored the winner after Hellebuyck stymied the Sharks
went around Erik Karlsson.
That's right. Exactly right. I mean, this was one of the better goaltending performances of recent memory. That's how good Connor Hellebuyck was tonight for the Winnipeg Jets.
Absolutely.
I mean, I mean, and like the saves, the saves he made. I know we're skipping ahead, but the saves he made in the last couple minutes of the game, when the Jets are just trying to get to overtime largely, but Vegas walked in. I think it was Nicholas Waugh had a walk-in chance that I don't know physically how Connor Hellebuyck made the save. Never mind the paddle save that he made early in the game. That was sort of when he made that save with his paddle, you sort of had the idea like you might be watching something special tonight. But what we saw from Connor Hellebuyck tonight is something that I think people will not forget anytime soon, even though it came ultimately in a defeat by the Golden Knights.
No, I mean, I think this will now replace that San Jose game when people are referencing Connor Hellebuyck on incredible performances. You're going to now start talking about this one. This will now replace that San Jose one. People still remember that one, of course, because of how many saves he made. But I mean, this was, and it's funny, like Scotty Billick said, maybe it's recency bias, but like this performance seemed just otherworldly. And look, I saw the comment in the chat, for the Jets, 3 games in 4 days for them, while they stayed off the ice, today and yesterday, like they just clearly didn't have it. And to their benefit, they're going to have a few days in between their next game, right? They don't face Montreal till Thursday. The return of Johnny Kovacevic, who's apparently in a second pairing role right now in Montreal. So that should give them time to rest and recover. And look, at the end of the day, we've talked about this for a long time. I mean, teams can do whatever they want. Look, the Vegas Golden Knights have an excellent hockey team. They have some phenomenal, they have a phenomenal forward group, but their goaltending is decent. But why do you think they're limiting the chances? Because they've possessed the puck all the time, and they're not giving up a lot of like high danger chances. So that's the reason why with all due respect to their goaltending tandem, that's not a lot of people are like looking at that thinking to themselves, oh, those are who I would expect Vegas to be top of the Pacific with. So they do what they do. And again, like I said, that's why you have to give respect to a team like Vegas. I mean, we knew coming into the season last year with all the injuries they had and with everything that went on, and obviously the Robin Lehner situation was questionable because we didn't know how the goaltending would be, but they found a good formula, which is, Harlem Globetrotter it. Make sure you've got the puck more than your opponent and really just kind of control play. So you got to give Vegas credit for what they're capable of doing. I thought that they were able to give, the Jets more than the Jets could handle. The Jets just didn't have the legs. They just seemed, there was one or two plays in transition where they were just half a step behind, maybe more than 1 or 2, but that seemed to be a theme throughout the course of the night. So ultimately you lean on your goaltender. And like I said, you don't make an apology for it, right? Like you rely on that as one of your biggest assets. That is,
absolutely.
I mean, Murat wrote about it in his 10 things about the Jets season in advance. And he said, Connor Hellebuyck will be the number 1 most important player for the Winnipeg Jets. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with it. I think it is. And so anybody who, you're not paying attention if you say he isn't the reason. Like the only reason the Jets got points in this game was because of Connor Hellebuck.
Mhm.
So it'd be a disservice to suggest anything else. You can't. We're not here just to blow smoke and tell you that the team played fantastic today.
No,
And
there's somebody on the broadcast doing that for you. He's he's not the play-by-play guy.
No, I'm just saying, like, we're not going to do that. We're going to give you real analysis, and the real analysis is that the Jets got a point today because of Connor Hellebuck, and that's it.
And
that's the only reason. So look, when the Jets play well in the game, look, if you want, go back and watch the game from St. Louis. When the Jets play a complete 60-minute game,
we'll tell you,
you praise them for playing a complete 60-minute game, but you're not going to praise them after this game. Sorry, that's just not the way it works. You praise Connor Hellebuck for being exceptional. You praise the fourth line, because the fourth line deserves a lot of credit to me, because I thought they were very good, that they were engaged. I mean, look, David Gustafsson drew the lone penalty from hard work.
David Gustafsson, I thought was in my mind, he was the Jets' best forward tonight, and that fourth line was effective.
Yeah,
in very many of their shifts. If you want to look for positives in tonight's game, we'll tell you one. The fourth line, absolutely a positive for the Winnipeg Jets tonight.
Yeah.
They were they had a very good performance tonight. You take what the fourth line did, you pack it up and you bring it home with you, and you're very happy, for that moving forward. Yeah. Blake Wallace, Blake at the Lake says it. The fourth line was the best line this evening. Absolutely.
And Chris makes a good point. The Jets were the best team. The Jets were the better team in overtime.
Yeah.
For majority of overtime. For the majority of overtime, I would say the Jets were the better team. There's no question about it. 3-on-3 is a little bit whatever, but like the reality is, the Jets were the better team and they had chances to win it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, ultimately they didn't. Then you're right. If they would have 6 more seconds, they go to shootout. And boy, we've jumped all over the place here, Drew. So let's go back into the recap and you can finish things off.
There you go. Let's do it. Adam Lowry opens the scoring at the 13-second mark of the third period. And, it's just a hard-working goal. Neil Pionk, Morgan Barron with the assists. It was a rebound. It was a shot. It was Morgan Barron making a nice offensive zone play to on the hard forecheck. The puck comes around. There's traffic in front of Aiden Hill, and Adam Lowry bangs in the puck, and it's 1-0 for the Winnipeg Jets. We all know what happened in the first 40 minutes of the game. We don't need to go through it again. We've rehashed it. We've hashed it out. You can go watch the replay if you want to hear our thoughts about the first 40 minutes again. But the Jets get that 1-0 lead, and they don't have to apologize for it because, like we said, having a great goalie is something to be proud of, not something to be embarrassed about.
And not only that, I mean, if you've weathered the storm through 40 minutes and then you come out well in the third period, that's again, it's not ideal. But that if that's what ends up happening, then that's what ends up happening. And you came out and had a good shift with the Lowry line, and you get rewarded for it. So Adam Lowry was feeling good, and it gave the Jets some life, right? Because the tide had been facing against them the whole time, and suddenly now they're with it. So you feel a little bit of a break there. Now, of course, Vegas is still going to press because they want to equalize it, but still, I mean, credit to the Jets for coming out the right way in that third period.
Absolutely. And then, I thought the Jets' best period of the game, I thought, was the third period. It got a little bit worse as the period went on, but there's a lot of reasons for that. And you can understand that. Vegas, again, as we've outlined, is a pretty talented hockey team, best team in the Pacific Division. So far this year, one of the best teams in the league, one of the early surprises, because a lot of people thought they were going to take a step back. And then Mark Stone ties it up exactly 7 minutes later, assist to Jack Eichel. And a lot of people don't like the goal. They don't like that there was not a penalty call. Mark Stone is a wonderfully talented player. Jack Eichel, as we saw in tonight's game, when I thought he was dangerous for the Golden Knights up and down the ice at all times, is a wonderfully talented player. And Mark Stone is able to sort of bank bunt the rebound past Connor Hellebuck after there was that lull in the action when everyone thought a hand was going to go up and there was going to be a penalty call. Well, it didn't come. You take that half second, and I understand why all the players did, because they were waiting for the call. The call didn't come, for better or worse. And, we've discussed it, and we don't need to discuss it again, but it's 1-1 at that point in time with about 12 and a half minutes to go.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it wasn't as if the Jets stood around and the Golden Knights didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets just happened to they were a little more flat-footed before the Golden Knights did, because everybody, including most of us watching or the people on the broadcast, were anticipating a call. And so that when something like that happens, that it looks egregious. It looks like it's going to be meriting a penalty call, and it wasn't. And like I said after the fact, because I was rolling with the Illegal Curve Twitter account tonight, and I said, oh well, that looked like a pretty obvious tripping penalty. And then I got some blowback, and I said, well, and then I saw the replay, and I said, okay, it doesn't look like it was an obvious tripping penalty. However, having said that, you've already called 3 against the Jets, and you haven't called any against the Golden Knights. And that makes sense because the Golden Knights had the puck for the majority of the time, hence the reason why the Jets were getting called. But at the same time, that to me, the refs do not have the benefit of the replay. So look, maybe they made the right call in their mind. Maybe they saw it and they saw immediately not what we saw, but because again, and the game's different, right? Like I'm in the press box we're in the press box for Jets games or Moose games, and you see the game a lot differently than you do on television. And so that's just a reality. But so we're going with what we saw there. But yeah, it looked like a penalty. But ultimately, again, it goes back to youth hockey, and you play until the whistle. And if there's no whistle, then you don't stop playing. And so that ends up burning the Jets. And then, they had to kind of hang on by the skin of their teeth in order to try and get it into extra time.
And they did get it into extra time. Required a little bit more heroics from Connor Hellebuyck.
Wow, did it ever?
Yeah, there were some saves there where, I mean, my daughter who's 7 is remarkably flexible. I think kids oftentimes aren't born with bones the way they're able to sleep in some awkward positions and contort their body into some awkward positions. But I begin to, at some points during this game, I was beginning to think that Connor Hellebuyck didn't have any bones in his legs either. The way he was able to stretch out and make some pad saves and put himself into the butterfly and go into the splits. I mean, I'm cringing in pain at home watching, but somehow he was able to do it and get back up and like it was no big deal. And the Jets had a lot of opportunities in overtime to win it. You think about that pass from Mark Scheifele to Josh Morrissey, where Morrissey was behind the defense. It was an in tight play. You wonder if Morrissey, if he had an opportunity to do it again, he wouldn't have sort of one-touched it as a tip opportunity. Maybe he probably didn't realize he had the time to sort of corral the pass and then maybe try and move in for a shot or a deke there. But that's splitting hairs in terms of criticism. It's not a criticism. It's just you probably didn't expect to have that much time and space behind the Golden Knights defense at that point in time. And then Vegas gets their opportunity. And again, I don't get too upset when things happen at 3-on-3. 3-on-3 is a gimmick. It's a fun gimmick. I enjoy watching it. I never turn off a 3-on-3 overtime, but there's not a lot that you can take from 3-on-3 overtime and translate it or extrapolate it for how things go, in 5-on-5 play. But Jack Eichel, had a really nice play to win the game. And Mark Scheifele, who has been better defensively this season, particularly at 5-on-5, just gets beat by Jack Eichel here. He's just a little bit soft, I would suggest, maybe a little bit fatigued, probably a lot fatigued. They'd been trapped on the ice there. I mean, I'm not going to say, burn Mark Scheifele at the stake and then throw away his ashes, but, you just want to see a little bit more from Mark Scheifele on that play. Given the circumstances, given the time left with 7 seconds to go and things of that nature. I think I saw somebody say, it's not the end of the world there if you take a penalty call and prevent a scoring opportunity, because then what are you talking about? You take a penalty call in that situation.
4 on 3 for 6 seconds. Who cares?
Exactly. And
I mean, you lose Scheifele to the shootout.
Which first, no, I mean, he can still participate in the shootout.
No, I know, but I'm saying oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I don't know. I thought that. No, you're right. So then, yeah, there really is no point. There is no detriment to doing that.
Right. So you maybe want a little bit better awareness in that situation. But again, I'm not going to go cuckoo bananas about it. I mean, Jack Eichel is a better centerman than Mark Scheifele. It's, and if you don't disagree with me, by all means, disagree with me to your heart's content. But I think if you went out and you asked 100 impartial hockey people, who would you rather have? You'd rather have Jack Eichel than Mark Scheifele. I mean, I mean,
look, that's fine. But I mean, look, Mark Scheifele is he just played too much. He played, I think it was 258 of overtime,
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's too much. 3-on-3, it just was. Again, sometimes at certain points you don't blame him because he's stuck out there and he can't get off. But Yeah, I mean, that's just too much time for him to. I mean, he played half the overtime, more than half the overtime, and that's just it's just too much time for one player to be on the ice, especially as people have pointed out, it's 3 games in 4 nights. And I know that they didn't skate this morning, and I know they didn't skate earlier, and they're probably not going to be on the ice tomorrow. So you're going to have some time to just let it throw it all out there and just try and leave it all out on the ice. But at the same time, you've played a lot of hockey, and then to throw him out there for that much time, I just didn't like that amount of time for Mark Scheifele in overtime. And yeah, I would agree. I mean, you do take the penalty and try and just, I mean, if they score, they score, but at least you prevented a very good chance.
Yeah, exactly right. But ultimately, it's a 2-1 Golden Knights victory. The Jets finished the road trip 2-0-1. Well, 5 out of Apostles, 6 points on a West Coast trip. You're happy with that. 5-3-1 to end the month of October. You're tied for first place
based on the schedule the Jets, based on the opponents the Jets had. Yeah, there's no question.
It was a tough schedule, and they came through it with if I had to give the Jets a grade through the first 9 games through the month of October, I would give them probably a very solid B+ or A- because they're right in the thick of things. They've outperformed what I think the most casual observers would say. 5-3-1. I think that everybody would have taken that at the beginning of the season, given the schedule, given the opponents, given the fact that you haven't had your head coach. And we talked about this on Saturday's show, which was just yesterday morning. You haven't had your head coach. You haven't had Nikolai Ehlers, the guy that everyone was expecting to take another leap forward. You've had a fair bit of adversity, to start. Your power play really hasn't done anything at all. It's been fairly anemic. 5-3-1's 5-3-1, folks. This, I'm not saying that's plenty good for the Winnipeg Jets. And you come home on Thursday. I mean, you look at the games you have over the next 2 weeks. First of all, you only got 4 games over the next 2 weeks. So you got Thursday against the Montreal Canadiens. You got Saturday.
Drew. I got 4 games next weekend. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Jets.
I had 5 in the last 5 days. I mean, come on.
I'm talking about the Jets only. You got your moose time. On your own. That's your own business, my good friend.
Sure.
You got the Montreal Canadiens on Thursday. You should be better than the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, they've been surprisingly good.
They have been surprisingly good, but that almost makes it so that you're not going to overlook them.
No,
same
absolutely.
with Chicago. Same with Chicago Blackhawks.
Absolutely, another team that's been surprisingly good.
Yeah, but again, so you're not going to overlook them.
Yeah,
you got a divisional rival game against the Dallas Stars. You want to maybe pay him back for the handling that the Jets had, that the Stars gave to the Jets, in game number 2 of the season. And then you got Calgary next Saturday, which is, of course, a test against one of the better teams in the Western Conference. 5-3-1, lots of good. Some things to work on. But ultimately, first place is first place. And you can't take that away from the Jets after 9 games this season.
Absolutely not. I mean, if you're in first place, if you're 5-3-1, and at the same time, if you think about it, that you have areas to improve.
Yeah,
you're a happy hockey club. Sorry, I've done a lot of talking today. Yeah. So I think that's a really good spot for this Winnipeg Jets club, Drew. And I think that there a lot of people didn't think this was a playoff team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought they were going to be a playoff team, but a lot of people didn't think the Jets would be a playoff team. I thought the removal of expectations from their shoulder from all the pundits now suddenly going. All the people who said suddenly this was a Stanley Cup team and now suddenly the exact same team is no longer a Stanley Cup team was a good thing for the Jets club, just to remove that from them and have them kind of be able to take us against them, against the world, sort of attitude into the season. Just to answer some of the questions, I was seeing in the chat quickly. It's a little harder when it's just you and I trying to pay attention to you and also the chat, but a lot of people are asking about Rick Bowness. We haven't had an update other than, he seems to be communicating quite often with the coaching staff. So suspect that whenever the Jets get going again, which I would think is on Tuesday, you'll get an update as to his status. And maybe it will be from Rick Bowness himself.
Now, look, I think everybody would like to see Rick Bowness back and healthy, but he's got to take care of himself first and foremost, because that press conference, he was visibly not well during that press conference. So you take as much time as you need. That the team's in good hands with Scott Arniel and the rest of the coaching staff right there. So for Rick Bowness, I think health has to be priority number 1.
I will say, by the way, Prime Timer just said not the same team. I see Dave. No more Stastny Kopp. More importantly, and I hadn't realized this because I tend not to pay attention too much to former Jets, but I still sometimes do check in from time to time. Those guys are not having very good seasons. Someone tweeted at me. I was shocked to see their numbers. I think Andrew Kopp has like 2 assists or 2 or 4 assists, whatever. No, I think 2 assists through his games with Detroit. And I don't think Paul Stastny's having a great season in Carolina. So interesting to see those two who were seen as such critical pieces. I'm not going to say who said Cole Perfetti would replace the points, but someone said that anyways on the season preview show.
And folks, no matter what, look at the bright side. The Maple Leafs lost again tonight. That's all that matters. It's as the Jets are, as we're, lamenting a loss of 1 point when they got 5 out of 6 in Toronto, things are a little bit more dicey than they are necessarily here in Peg City.
Well, so I just saw someone say, could you imagine the Leaf show right now? And I mean, I can only imagine what Steve Dangle's head must be exploding right now.
I think you're fairly correct about that, Mr. Dave. Let's head to break, folks. When we come back, the Illegal Curve unique word of the day for our merchandise contest.
We've had a lot of people guessing it, not guessing it right.
I know
11 letters, folks.
I know you've been waiting for it. I know that the anticipation is building, so stay tuned. It's coming up next. We also are going to announce our winner of the last merchandise contest. So somebody's going to walk away with some great Winnipeg Jets merchandise coming up after the break. And of course, the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment still to come. Much more to come. Don't go anywhere. Sunday evening, Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, the Illegal Curve postgame show. We're live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Shortly before 10:30 in the evening, a Sunday evening. I hope everyone had a very pleasant Sunday. Maybe you got to enjoy some of the unseasonably warm weather. Maybe you went out for a walk with your family or loved ones. Whatever it is, I hope you enjoyed it.
What was that? Some of us were high above the ice surface in a press box, Drew.
Yeah, I didn't say you. I said some.
A little shout out to the people who were doing color for the Moose broadcast today.
We gave you shout outs. We put
maybe you heard me on CJOB today.
I did, Dave. You did a wonderful job, but your ego needs to be deflated. Otherwise, that room won't be big enough. So I'm just keeping you humble while I'm saluting all those who spent time with their loved ones, and maybe they spent some time in nature on this unseasonably warm Sunday.
It was very nice. I will say
that's all I'm saying is I hope you got outside.
Lisa Danko was at the Moose game this afternoon.
There you go.
So was Ezzy actually.
Ezzy was at the Moose game too. He was dressed as a 40-year-old father with 2 children. He pulled it off wonderfully. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying is that there's other things to do. Moose games, nature, lovely walks in the park.
We'll have more Moose tickets to give away for next week when they take on the Texas Stars. So
wonderful, perfect. There you go.
We got lots to give away this week because the Texas Stars. We've got our live hit we're doing next Saturday at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show, November 5th and 6th at Red River X Place. So come down Saturday morning, meet Illegal Curve, and you also get a chance to check out all the great speakers they're going to have. Great prizes. It's going. I can't remember the start time. I think it's 10 o'clock, but I'll have to check that out. But it'll be a lot of fun. And there's great speakers, contest, $10 for adults, and kids 12 and under go in for free.
Plus, you can see us. You can see our smiling faces. We're going to be there live on Saturday morning broadcasting the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. So if you're looking for something to do next weekend, when the weather's supposed to be not as great, allegedly, the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show is a fine destination where you can spend some quality time with us good folks at Illegal Curve and and some getting ready for ice fishing season. This courtesy of our friend Ken Weeb. He's on the road trip, so he's in Vegas. Associate coach Scott Arneal said he expects Rick Bowness, head coach of the Jets, to be back on the ice this week with the team. Nikolai Ehlers didn't end up skating on the road trip. There was some thought that he was going to skate on the road trip. He didn't.
With the extras.
Yeah, with the extras. Logan Stanley is in a walking boot after blocking a shot with his foot, and he'll be examined further back in Winnipeg. So you wonder about the health status of course, Nikolai Ehlers, because I think had he skated on this trip, it would be a pretty good sign that he's getting ready to rejoin the lineup on Thursday. Now, just because he didn't skate doesn't mean he's not ready to join on Thursday, but time will tell on that front. And then you wonder, of course, about the status of Logan Stanley moving forward, because if he's in a walking boot, that's a sign that he's got a boo-boo on his foot at the very least. So obviously time will tell. More details to come regarding those players. And of course, you can follow along on illegalcurve.com for all the latest news. Now, I agree
with Robert Sutton's comment. I actually thought Dylan Samberg had a good game.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game too. I agree with you.
He's getting more. You can see he's getting back to that comfortable feeling, and that's one of those things that, when I talked to him in the summer during our August hiatus, when I was doing a bit of a summer series with some of the players, you could see that Dylan Samberg had that quiet confidence that he built up in that his resume in the AHL, and from all the games that he played in the NHL last year, and had he not been injured, he would have played a whole slew more. You could see that he was going to do that, and then obviously he came back into the lineup and wasn't, especially knowing there's that pressure, right? Like one mistake, now someone else is in, I'm out. So I think especially with Logan Stanley being injured, maybe he feels a little more comfortable. So good on Dylan Sandberg for kind of getting back into the swing and showing what he's capable of providing every game.
Exactly right. Well said. Now, a quick word about the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. We do this after each and every Winnipeg Jets game here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. You have the opportunity to enter the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. You can enter the contest one time and get one entry. You can click the link. The link is currently available in the show description. That's right. Dave's cap is getting a little tight. In the show description, you'll see a link where it says enter the Illegal Curve merchandise contest here. If you're saying, where is the description? Where's the show description? I can't find the show description. Maybe you're watching on your phone. X out of the chat, if you so desire. Hit the drop-down arrow. You'll see a description of this fine broadcast that you are watching. If you're watching on your computer, hit the drop-down arrow. You'll see a fine description of this show that you're watching. Can't find it there? No problem. We have it for you in many other places, namely our website, illegalcurve.com. Click on the morning papers link. Click on the pregame report link. Click on probably the postgame show report, postgame report. All of those different web pages have a link to the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. You'll see the list of different things you can do to get entries. The more things you do, the more entries you get. One of the things you need to do is enter the unique code for the IC contest. You can only get that unique code by watching this show, the Illegal Curve postgame show, or downloading the podcast and waiting for us to announce what the unique code is.
And for the record, you don't get any bonus points for leaving a comment on the podcast, but you get my eternal appreciation.
There you go. There you go. So you should do it anyways, because Dave's eternal appreciation is worth a lot of money. Let me tell you, folks, that Dave M good time vibes are nothing that you can put a price tag on. You know those old MasterCard commercials? That is priceless right there. So get in Dave M's good graces, and while you're at it, enter the unique code for the IC contest. Roll the dice. All one word. All caps. I don't know if it has to actually be caps when you enter it. I don't think it's case sensitive, but all one word. If it is, use all caps. ROLLTHE dice. DICE. Roll the dice. Very apropos, Mr. Manouk, craps player. You guys didn't know that Dave was a craps player back in his day, right?
I once played craps with Jerome Bettis, and by that I mean I was walking through the Venetian and Jerome Bettis was playing craps, and I watched him play.
Oh, that's good. How was the
Cordell Stewart, actually?
Cordell Stewart, Andrew. You really went back to the late 90s Pittsburgh Steelers time there.
Pittsburgh Steelers days, yeah. Well, I mean, it was probably sometime in the probably around 2010, but they were when was it? Yeah, maybe mid 2000s.
Okay,
something in that range. But yeah, they were enjoying themselves playing little dice.
Do you remember what Cordell Stewart's nickname was?
Was it like Slash or?
Hey, there you go. You got it right, Slash, because he was he was a most unique player at a time when players were very typecast. Quarterbacks threw the ball, running backs ran the ball. The idea of having a guy who can do a rushing quarterback, or in Cordell Stewart said, I believe he even punted once or twice because the Steelers were really leaning into that Slash moniker. Cordell Stewart, you're absolutely right, Dave. Good memory, remembering that.
Not bad. When you roll the dice with a guy, you gotta know his nickname.
Exactly right. Roll the dice. That's the unique code for the IC contest. The unique code for the IC contest. Enter that on the contest page. We have a winner from the last game, Mr. Manouk.
We do indeed. The winner is Jason Sheps. Jason Sheps, you are the winner as selected by the machine today. So congratulations on your win. I will be sending you an email to find out your address, and I will be sending out your jersey, authentic Winnipeg Jets jersey. So a pretty cool prize that you get to win. We have Heritage Classic, we have the away, we have the home, we have t-shirts, we have hats, we've got a lot of good stuff, and I got a lot of stuff from Seagram still to give away, our sponsors. So we'll have some of that at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show. We got so much stuff, Drew. We got tickets to the ice fishing show. I got Moose tickets. How much of the shows now are just spent giving stuff away, which I don't mind. I mean, we're a Manitoba-based show. We know folks love free stuff, so we'll keep providing folks with as much free stuff as long as we get it. we're happy to give it out.
Exactly right. And you folks keep coming back, and you guys will, as a result, benefit from all the free stuff that we are giving away. Speaking of free stuff, time for the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Again, because Ginsburg's not here, I have a lot of flexibility. I can really sort of steer this with whatever comment you like. Maybe it is specific to the game. Maybe it's an in-depth game analysis. Maybe it's praise of Dave. I love when people praise Dave. Maybe that gets you the hardest hitting comment. You never quite know what it's going to take. But this one, tonight's hardest hitting comment, I really enjoyed. I thought it was amusing. It was apropos for the Sin City where the Winnipeg Jets played. Matthew Thompson put this one out there. In a city built on mafia and casinos, the Jets appropriately showed up to play tonight's game in cement shoes. Cement skates would have been a little bit better, Matthew, but I'll let it slide. Congratulations, you are the winner of tonight's Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Matthew, send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com. Slide into my DMs at @ICDrew. Send me your mailing address. Let me know your mailing address. We'll be sure to send out to you a toque from our friends at Tough Duck. And of course, the next opportunity for anybody to win tonight's Tough Duck hardest hitting comment will be Thursday night when the Winnipeg Jets are back in action against the Montreal Canadiens. Looking forward to another Original Six matchup. Probably won't have the same level of animus that was in the arena.
Johnny Kovacevic is looking for some revenge.
The Johnny Kovacevic revenge factor is significant. It is certainly high up there. It'll be interesting to hear from the former Manitoba Moose player that a lot of people had penciled into the Winnipeg Jets roster this year. Well, we know how that ended up with him now playing a significant role for the Montreal Canadiens.
I won't make a Ginsburg guarantee, but if you look in the press box, I guarantee there'll be about 15 Moose players probably there to watch him play against the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
Would be my guess.
The loyalty factor, the tight bonds between Moose players.
He was very popular. So one of the leaders of that team. So
you would know as the Moose insider, there's no question about that, which means there's only one way we can end tonight's broadcast.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Wow. I was not expecting that. I mean, I did a lot of Moose talk already. The Moose, of course, were back in action today.
Doesn't have to be a long one. It can be.
No, I'll try and keep it
short. One.
I'll keep it tight. I did a lot of chit-chatting with Daniel Fink today, as I joined him for color, which I do, occasionally. I used to do it a little more often, but it's hard on me to do that because I can't really tweet and focus on the game as when I'm doing the color, but I still enjoy it because it adds a different element to watching the games and covering the Moose games. So it was a lot of fun to join Daniel on the broadcast. And the Moose were looking for a little revenge after losing 5-2 to Iowa. They had been on a 4-game win streak, so they were looking for to get back on track this afternoon in the rematch. And it didn't get off to a good start because in the first period, Christian Reichel scored an own goal on Arvid Holm. Moose won a face-off. He went to swat it behind the Moose net, and he swatted it through Arvid Holm and opened the scoring for the Minnesota Wild. I can't recall the last time I've seen of those.
Iowa Wild, my good friend. The Iowa Wild.
What'd I say?
Minnesota Wild.
Sorry, Matt. You know what? There were so many guys from Minnesota. Matty Hendricks was there walking around the press box. Carson Lambos was there walking around the press box. There were a lot of guys from the Minnesota Wild organization, even though I know Carson Lambos is currently with the Winnipeg Ice. Yeah. But he was there obviously because the organization wanted him to be around them for the couple of days. But it was an inauspicious start for the Manitoba Moose, finding themselves down 1-0. But it's a resilient bunch. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, Daniel told us yesterday on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show when he joined us, was that I never realized. I knew they were a young team. I didn't realize they were the youngest team in the AHL. I thought that was an interesting stat because, and you see it with Henry Nikkanen, Daniel Torgerson, Chaz Lucius, Brad Lambert. He didn't play again today. He's dealing with an illness. So that's what Coach Morrison told me after yesterday's game. So no Brad Lambert, 2022 first rounder, but a lot of other young players in the lineup. Of course, all the defensemen as well. So a resilient bunch, but you never know, right? They lost yesterday 5-2. Special teams weren't good. How are they going to respond today? Well, they responded nicely. They didn't sag sag too significantly. They started to push back immediately after that against the grain, as Cole Meyer said, goal that got scored against them. And sure enough, they tied it. Cole Meyer himself, the alternate captain of the Manitoba Moose, he opened the scoring. A nice work, really nice cycle, actually. Billy Heinola was involved, Leon Gavanke, and the lunch pail line just wreaking havoc in front of the Iowa Wild net. And eventually Cole Meyer comes out from in front, from behind the net, puts it top corner, makes it 1-1. And then 2 goals in 15 seconds, one from Leon Gavanke on the power play. And then Cole Meyer, 15 seconds later, made it a 3-1 game. And the Moose made it, Arvid Holm, excellent, 33 saves in net. He's got 2 wins in a row for the Moose in net. And they cruised. Wyatt Bongiovanni, he finished it off, the college signing from last year. So he finished it off on the power play to make it 4-1. And the Moose cruised to a 4-1 win to defeat Iowa. And like the Jets, it's actually an interesting time because both teams in Manitoba, both the pro teams, and obviously we know how well the Ice are doing in the WHL, but both the pro teams of Manitoba find themselves first in the Central Division in the respective leagues. So another way to bounce back. And now the Moose they're off tomorrow. They'll be back on the ice for practice for the next few days after that. And then they take on the Texas Stars on Friday night and then Sunday afternoon.
There you go. There's tonight's Minuk Moose Minute, breaking down everything happening with the AHL team in town. Before we cease tonight's program, I want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rollies Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. If you want to become a sponsor of Illegal Curve Hockey, or maybe you know of a company or involved with a company, or really just want to buy it for yourself so that you can get me to make a 30-second commercial about you, let us know. Drew at illegalcurve.com or Dave at illegalcurve.com. We're always happy to sit down and create a package that will work for you.
One other thing, Drew, sorry, before we jump off, I got to give a shout out to 2022 first rounder Rutger McGroarty, who got his first collegiate hat trick yesterday for the University of Michigan. They ended up winning the game 6-5 in OT. It looked like Rutger was going to have, Drew, come on, do some blocking here. I did block the last couple. It's your turn now. So he ended up looking like it was going to be the game winning goal because they were up 5-4, but then Western Michigan tied the game to send it to overtime. And Luke Hughes ended up getting the overtime winner to send Michigan home. I think they're like 9-0-1 or something like that. Michigan's rolling. They've got a very good team, as they usually do. But Rutger McGroarty, first collegiate hat trick. I think he's got 4 goals, 6 assists in 8 games. So he's feeling good. And then Jets fans are feeling good seeing what he's able to do. The only thing with Rutger that I find hard to understand is how he wears number 2, because it's very hard to see a forward wearing a defenseman's number.
Well, that's something that he might alleviate that problem at the professional ranks right now in college. He's a young kid. Anything goes when you're in college still. When you get up to the NHL level, things will be a little bit different, I suspect. Dave M., we've spent a lot of quality time together since Thursday. I'm going to enjoy the next couple days away from you, even though be sure that, in my heart, I'm still right there next to you. But I hope you enjoy a couple days off. You'll be working hard on the website, getting the post-game report up, and, of course, the morning papers, which will be up and posted in a matter of mere hours. Good thing that you are, as we talked about yesterday, nocturnal and can work all night and sleep all day. A hearty effort from yourself.
Sleep all day part, you were pretty accurate.
Yeah, a hearty effort from yourself, Dave M. A hearty effort from the Winnipeg Jets, dropping a 2-1 decision at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights. They end the month of October 5-3-1 and atop the Central Division with the Dallas Stars. Thanks to everybody for joining us. I'm sure I pissed off a few people today. That's what my specialty is. But folks, it's just hockey. Don't worry. I'm still a nice person deep down inside. You can ask my wife. She says I'm a great person, and my kids like me every now and then as well. Dave M., we'll see you on Thursday night. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Remember the post-game show Thursday night, right around 9:45 p.m. back here on our YouTube channel. For Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks for watching. Until Thursday night, we wish you good night and good luck, and we hope you enjoyed the Illegal Curve post-game show.